In the last tutorial, we used the tone from a Serato control vinyl to recreate the melody of Jay-Z's Dirt Off Your Shoulder. This works quite naturally because, as I mentioned, this tone is in the note of C. The first note in the melody of Jay-Z is a C, and C also happens to be the note assigned by default to the first green pad in Platiplay. This first green pad also spins the turntable at the regular 0% pitch speed, so in other words, C is the root note of all scales on the RP8000 Mark II by default. But what if we want to use a different sound on the turntable that isn't in the note of C? And what if we don't want to use a specific tone at all? Well, if you have a good ear and are creative, you may discover other suitable sounds to use for Platiplay in actual songs themselves. To demonstrate, I've loaded a track to this deck from my Serato, which I'm sure all of you will recognize. It is, of course, the Circle of Life from the Lion King movie, which starts with that iconic vocal sample. It's a fairly clear sound with no other instruments playing at the same time, and it's also in the tune to the note of F, which you can check by simply comparing it with other sources such as a piano app on your smartphone, or even comparing it against your Serato tone playing on F. As the vocalist on this song only sings this F note for a few seconds, I've simply applied a manual loop to the track to stop it from ending. So we've essentially created a constant tone in the note of F. But the problem we have now is that our root note of the scale on our turntable is still set to the default C4. So even though the turntable will be showing in the display as playing a C4, sonically it's really playing an F, which on a standard piano layout or on the chromatic scale, an F is a whole 5 notes or 5 semitones higher than a C. So rather than getting confused trying to play melodies with the wrong note information showing, we've incorporated a feature in our latest firmware that allows you to change the root note of your RP8000 Mark II. If you're unfamiliar with how to update your firmware, please refer to the dedicated tutorial in this Platiplay series. Okay, so I've just updated my RP8000 Mark II with the latest firmware, and the first thing you'll notice when you access Platiplay is that the first pad in my scale is now white to represent that this is the root note, which naturally plays the turntable at 0% pitch speed. It still currently shows as playing a C4 in the display, and I can still cycle to the different octaves available as normal. But now I have the option of changing this root note by simply holding my finger on the root note pad and turning the tracks encoder clockwise or anti-clockwise. As I currently have the chromatic scale selected, this root note can be any of the 12 notes between C and B. You'll also notice that the turntable platter will stay spinning at the default 0% pitch for whatever root note we choose, and also that the other pads will adjust accordingly around this root note. So that's how easily we can change the root note of our scale to correctly match the note of whatever sample we have. And as the tone we're planning to use is in the note of F, let's assign F as our root note. So having played around with the tone from my Lion King track for some time, I worked out that I was able to play the melody of Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On, which we all know sounds like this. And that only comprises of 3 notes, F, F sharp and C. So those are the 3 notes we need. We already have F assigned to our root note. F sharp is the next one up. And next we need to come down to play a C. So in that case, I'm going to scroll my scale along And here we have the C, the final note. So these are the three notes we need: F, F sharp, and C. Let's check it out. You may also discover a lot of platter play melodies by experimenting or through trial and error in the same way. Alternatively, you could also look on YouTube for piano tutorials of songs that start with F. Alternatively, you could search on Google for the notes of specific songs that you want to perform, and then just acquire the appropriate tone sample and scale you'll need to perform them. But for now, we're going to use this Lion King sample in the chromatic scale to perform a platter play of Get Your Freak On by Missy Elliott. Let's go.